Oh, hey, girl.
Yeah.
We got our little fluffies on.
A fluffy.
Our little fluffies. So it's just to make our voices a little bit deeper.
From today,
Yeah.
I'm going to call you Fluffy.
Fluffy 1, Fluffy 2. Girl, this is our third episode.
Number 3 already.
Man, it's we've really hit the ground running, haven't we? Yeah. Are you feeling more
I was going to say I actually feel a little bit more comfortable already.
Yeah, good.
Little bit.
Yeah. I'm still uncomfortable.
Everything good grows out of the comfort zone.
Yeah, she's even got her, and for those that aren't watching the video, she's got her stage earrings on.
Yep.
Beautiful.
I thought I'd match them to the colour of my tie.
Yeah. It's all about
It's going to be a thing.
coordination.
From now on, it's going to be a thing. I'm going to make it a thing.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. All right, let's get into it. Ready? Okay, welcome to the Special K Unwrapped podcast. My name is Juelz and this is Kristy Graham Kumabe. I always want to go, Kumabe!
You can do it if you want.
Kumabe!
There you go. You feel better now?
Yeah, I have to get it out of my system. Now we are at episode 3, so if you have missed any of our other episodes, we're only 3 deep, so you can go back and listen to the other ones. And today we're going to focus on something that Kristy and we only just, I'm going to say, recently spoke about when we were training the other day. You're like, yeah, what was it?
Yeah.
We talk a lot.
We talk a lot.
Oh, sorry.
I
Yes.
talk a lot.
So the other day we were in the gym, we were talking, and we came up with this coffee croissant analogy.
I love analogies.
Yes.
I use analogies a lot, don't I?
Same. Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. So I just think it makes it so much easier to understand if you use an analogy that everyone can relate to.
Yeah. Now, how we got into this conversation was we were talking about, finding the right trainer for what you need and the changes that you want to make in your body and how important, that is when it comes to getting the results that you want.
Yeah. This is a conversation that comes up heaps, and I think you've just always, even though like your trainer, your hairdresser, that sort of industry, you have such a connection with them, don't you? And I use the analogy all the time of the coffee and the croissant from the bakery. Yeah. So I always start with there's just as many bakeries as there are gyms. Yeah. And every bakery mainly offers coffee. Yeah. And a croissant. And a croissant. Or a muffin, whatever you choose. But the coffee is always different. The croissant's always different from cafe to cafe or bakery to bakery. Depends on the baker, depends on the barista. Everything's always different. Yeah. And you may be going to a bakery for quite some time because you love their coffee and croissant. Yeah. And you might be happy. Yeah. But then as your requirements change or your taste buds change or your hormones change.
You need something a little bit stronger.
You need something a little bit stronger. Yeah. Or a little bit weaker. Yeah. Or you might want something completely different. Yeah. So I was telling someone else the other day that recently I had the absolute privilege of helping a guy rehab his shoulder. Right. So many of you don't know, but I completely tore my shoulder to shreds a couple of years ago, and I had big surgery on it and rehabbed it and come back from that to compete and whatever. Yeah. So the experience is there, the knowledge is there. And so when this guy did his shoulder and had surgery, one of the massage therapists that I use referred him to me to rehab the shoulder. Yeah. Anyway, so I had the privilege of working with him. We had crazy results, and he's super happy. Anyway, so he's at the stage now that he doesn't need my coffee or croissant anymore. Yeah. Right? So he's onto an extra strong long black and a meat pie. Yeah. What a combo. But that makes sense, right? So he's used my services and we rehab his shoulder. He's super, super happy. And so now he has the choice to leave this bakery and go somewhere else. Yeah. Or he can come to me and say, hey, I actually don't need coffee and croissant. Actually, I said to him, I only serve coffee and croissants to you, but you don't need that anymore. Yeah. You've
you need a meat
outgrown
pie.
that. You need a freaking strong long black and a meat pie now. Like you're strong enough. You're done. Anyway, so then he said to me, well, do you offer that coffee and a meat pie? And I said, well, yeah, I can. So switch of services.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the point is that you outgrow or you need different things or whatever, and you need to realize that that's a product and a service.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
even on like a littler scale, when you're going from gym to trainer to job to relationship, you need to realize that there's a coffee and a croissant, and there's all different types of coffees, all different types of croissants, and so many different bakeries to serve them.
Yeah.
So it depends on your circumstance. But I think what we were talking about was the environment as well, that you get connected to the environment that serves the coffee and the croissant.
Yeah. Some of my hardest breakups,
and this is why I say it's not just about gyms and trainers. You can actually apply this analogy to and break it down to so many different aspects of your life.
Yeah.
Like going for a new job or staying with your old job.
Oh, no, I was...
and... Or relationships. Do you stay in this relationship or do you leave this relationship?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I was more saying some of my breakups with trainers and hairdressers have been harder than most relationships.
Yeah. because
you
build such a strong relationship.
You do.
With them, not necessarily the service.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's the same as like I have my favorite cafes here on the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah.
And do I plug them or not?
Oh, yeah, go for it. I mean, if you're listening somewhere else in the world and you're like, oh, I'll go to Sunshine Coast for that.
Sunshine Coast.
Why not?
So I think I've told you. So every Sunday morning, I go to CK Whole Foods over at Maroochydore.
Yeah.
And coffee and an egg white omelette.
Yeah. That's at the Homemaker Centre as well.
The Homemaker Centre at Maroochydore. They serve the best almond milk latte.
Yeah.
I don't know about any other coffees because that's the coffee that I drink, right? Yeah. That's my coffee of choice.
Yeah.
Almond milk latte and the egg white omelette.
Yeah. Every Sunday.
Every single Sunday.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I do slut around to other coffee shops, but at this point in time, that's my favourite coffee.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But
I
also love when I go there, they know my name.
Yeah.
They know what I'm going to order.
Yeah.
They sometimes give me a discount or a cookie.
Yeah.
So I am also slowly getting attached to the people and the cafe itself.
Yeah.
Not just the almond milk latte and the egg white omelette. Right?
Yeah.
So as, time evolves, maybe my taste buds will change and the coffee's actually not that good anymore.
Yeah.
Which is still amazing.
You're like, I know.
But the analogy is that, the coffee might not be as good anymore or my taste buds have changed.
Yeah.
And I keep going there because they know my name.
Yeah.
Because they know what I drink, what I eat, and I get a little cookie as well.
Yeah.
And I keep going there for that, but at what sacrifice?
Yeah. Like,
so, as in, I'm sacrificing
the taste of a coffee
and my morning joy on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Because I'm attached to that.
Just because they know your name.
And you know what? Sometimes that's all it takes, right? That attachment to an environment or a person or whatever it may be. And it's so hard to detach from that.
Yeah. I actually did a bit of a little study. Where I went to the same. No. It was a study of how long it will take a barista or a cafe to learn your name when it comes to ordering coffee. And I actually secretly filmed it and got the audio of me going, "Hi, my name's Juelz. May I please grab this?" Or they'd say, "What's your name?" kind of thing. And I think it was by day 5, the 5th day in a row at the same time, making sure that they've got my name and it was the same order. And so by day 5, even though, and I'm talking, there were different baristas as well too, so it wasn't always the same person. But by day 5, I went in there and they were like long black long black and Juelz. And before I even opened my mouth, all I had to say was good morning, and they'll go long black for Juelz. I'm like, yes. So 5 days.
And how good does that feel? when that happens.
Yeah, it was good. It makes you feel cared about, like you're a regular. Yeah. You know, like you're a favourite. You know, you're a favourite customer.
So then if you had the choice in the morning of maybe going to a new place or going back to there, where would you go?
Yeah. Or go back to that place, of course.
Yeah. Because it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
So that's that connection to the environment. But I think that analogy, what we were talking about the other day, and I use it with clients all the time, family, friends, and whatever, is you always have a choice. And sometimes you need to step back and have a look at, hang on a second, what am I going there for? Am I going there for the person that I don't know, that just actually I'm just a customer?
Yeah.
Or am I actually going there because the coffee and the croissant is exactly what I want?
Yeah. Do you think a lot of people stick to certain things, you know, and I'm just going to base this on, like, let's just go back into the gym, is the confrontation when it comes, because I know, especially with hairdressers, I always hate breaking up with a hairdresser. It's bloody expensive, and, you know, if they cut it wrong, I mean, there's nothing you can bloody do about it. And most times I'm like, oh, if I'm upset with something, I won't say anything. And then before I know it, I'm sitting back in the bloody hairdresser's chair, getting my hair cut again, going, I didn't like what they did last time. Why am I sitting here again? Do you think it's the confrontation?
I think so. People? So that's what I'm saying about at what sacrifice?
Yeah.
Are you still going back to that cafe for the coffee and croissant? Yeah. Are you going back to get the coffee and croissant, or are you keeping going back to keep away from confrontation and possibly upsetting someone else?
All right. So what's your, I mean, what would, you know, from your side of view, like point of view of, like, you know, you have been trained and you are also a trainer. What's the best way for someone to tackle that? Like, I know it's just like, we'll just be straight up and honest, but
I mean, that's the thing, is straight up and honest. And like, you know, I've been through a lot recently, and you have too. And like, probably over the last couple of years, we've been in circumstances like this where you're like, what do I do from now? Do I change things up, or do I make a decision, or do I go forth, or whatever it may be?
Yeah.
And you have to weigh up the benefits, the pros and cons. And I think the lesson learnt from it is to make the decision on the desired outcome, on 100%. The result, rather than the emotion attached to it.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's freaking hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard because we're human. We have a heart.
Oh, you got to be a cold-hearted bitch, right? You got to be like, you got to separate yourself.
Really, really hard. It's like a breakup when you're going through stuff like that. So I think even changing cafes, like, it's a freaking coffee and a croissant. But it's hard, right? You feel a bit.
See, I'm like, now I'm just going to move house. I'm going to move suburbs. I'm going to move cities. Honestly.
Run away.
I'm just going to, you know, but that's
essentially, you need to sit back. I'm going to crap.
That's all right. It'll happen.
That's normal.
With thighs like that, 100%. I don't know if the video. I know you can see it.
They've got to grow. They've got to grow. I need my croissants. But I think the big lesson is, even when you're changing bakeries, changing gyms, changing jobs, changing relationships, you know, there comes a time where either you're happy and you keep going, or, you know, you might sit back and have a look and go, okay, like, what's the pros and cons of this? Something's not quite sitting right, but actually this environment, this chef, baker, barista, and the coffee and croissant outweigh, so it might be a positive thing too, right? Outweigh moving bakeries or changing bakeries. And you stick there.
Yeah.
The other positive is that you go to them and say, like what my client, like, and I did, and I said, like, you've outgrown me, essentially, the service that I've been providing you.
God, if only we had trainers that recognise that and brought it forward, because I feel like there's a lot of trainers out there that are just money hungry. They don't care what they...
I think so, and like, you can see that from two sides. Business is business, right?
No, I get it. Yeah, but it's one of those things where you're like, far out. If you can't, like... This sits deep with me because of a certain trainer, but you know, where I was requiring a certain service, I wanted to learn technique in lifting. To be honest, he spoke more about, wanting to go on The Bachelor more than showing me technique, and it was really frustrating. And to be honest, we lasted maybe 6 weeks. I think I had him for 6 to 8 weeks max. But I was really frustrated, and then I finally found a trainer that was really willing to teach me technique. But it took me to, I had to block that first trainer. I almost, I avoided anywhere where I knew he was going to be because I couldn't break up with him. Even though he wasn't giving me what I wanted, I just couldn't break up with him. And purely just because I knew it would be that, no, stay with me. Yeah. And I didn't want to hurt his feelings by saying, you're actually not teaching me technique. I'm looking back at my videos. There's I know my form's not right. You're not correcting me. And this is what I actually need you for. And then I eventually found, a trainer that did, because I started off like that. I said, my old trainer told me he could teach me technique and he didn't. So I'm going to see how this goes for a couple of weeks. And if my technique or if you're not teaching me technique, then we're done. I think that's probably a really important thing to do as well. If you already know what you want out of yourself, to, really seek that and don't just settle on your first or second trainer as well too. Shop around.
That's what I mean.
A pair of shoes.
There's bakeries everywhere. And everyone has a different recipe. And it doesn't mean that one recipe is better than another. It just means that different recipes suit different people. Different taste buds. That's the bottom line of it.
Absolutely.
And where I was going before is you went back to the trainer and said, this is the service that I wanted, it's not being provided. Or you go back to the trainer and say, you used to provide this service, so this is how the coffee and the croissant was. But the croissant's not as big anymore, and the coffee's not as strong. And then they have a choice to go, whoa, thank you for your feedback. Let me see to that. And you got to stay. Because they may implement change to up their standard or whatever it may be, go back to or even level up. But if they turn around and say, no, this is the service that I provide, which could be a positive or negative, like I did, then you then have the choice to go, okay, well, either I stay with that, knowing that's what it is, or I go to another cafe, bakery.
Also, false advertising. You said big, strong coffee.
Big, strong coffee.
Big, fat croissants, and that's not what you serviced.
So I think it's just realizing the bottom line is moving and acting in all realms of your life. Yes, training, we base around that, but on the desired outcome, the desired result. And so when I go and have my coffee and my egg white omelette or my croissant, I want to feel good afterwards. I want to feel satisfied. I want the coffee to be strong. Really strong. I have a triple shot, by the way, if anyone wants to buy my coffee.
I don't know. I haven't bought her a coffee yet.
hint, no,
I know, right?
But that's like my happy place when I have that. So I won't sacrifice that. So if the coffee is not as strong or not as good, I don't go back. And knowing that you have the power, you have the choice to do that. You are not attached.
Why do we feel like we don't?
Bakery or the barista or the chef or the trainer or the gym.
If you can relate to what we're talking about and you because even having this conversation and thinking back to those moments where I have wanted to, leave a trainer, a hairdresser, a relationship, a job, whatever, I get this really sickening feeling in the pit of my stomach. It's just like, ugh. If you are relating to it, you're not alone. I get you. I totally get. And there's a lot of us out there. Where these things actually affect us. Even doing what is right for yourself can make you feel.
A lot of us are people pleasers, aren't we?
100%.
A lot of us are people pleasers, and we don't like to hurt. I definitely don't like to hurt.
I'm a people pleaser to a certain extent, I believe, but when I snap. I then go home and cry. Like if I'm angry about something and I pull someone up on something, it upsets me so much. I have to go home and cry over it. That's how sensitive I am.
It's hard. Yeah. It really pulls you into emotional turmoil in any aspects of that, like in any aspects of life that you're applying this to. And I think that analogy, like I'd love to hear what people have, like how they've reacted to that. Like, oh, that analogy applies to this part of my life. Like not just, you know, gyms and trainers, but oh, wow, like actually I'm doing this, but I don't really want to. Yeah. Or that's not actually sitting right with me, but I'm still doing it. Why am I doing it? Or, you know. Yeah.
It's like having a bloody subscription to something that you just don't use, but every time you go to cancel, every time you get you get a notification that says $14.99 has been deducted from your account, and you're like, I don't even use that for the month. What a waste of money. And then you go to cancel, you're like, but I might. I need to now use it because I've already spent that money. And it's just like, no, just get rid of it.
You can subscribe to ours too, can't you?
To what?
Our podcast.
Oh, I thought you said ours. Yes, you can subscribe to our podcast. Link is in the link. A link is in the bio if you want to do that as well too. We also have a YouTube channel, so if you are watching this on YouTube, if you are listening to this on audio, we have a YouTube, so you can actually watch us talk to one another, which probably would make more sense to the things that we're saying.
We'll get better at it.
We will get better.
But yeah, I'd love to hear how that resonates with people. Like, because it is a big one and it is really, really broad. Like you can apply it to so many, but I think simplifying it down to the coffee and croissant from the bakery, like there's bakeries freaking everywhere. Yeah. Coffee everywhere. Croissants everywhere.
And let's face it, croissants have a lot of bloody carbs in it. And you don't want to waste your calories on a shit croissant, right? It's like spending good money. That's right. It's like spending good money on shit food at a restaurant. There's nothing worse.
Don't mind if you pay $50 for a steak and it comes out and it's just like
melts in your mouth.
Like you can pull it apart with the fork and butter knife.
Yeah.
Right? But then
I have a burnt steak. That ain't ever happening to me. When I go out and I get meat.
Girl, seriously.
And they say, how would you like it? I say burnt. Thank you. Like the most well done. Like when you think it's well done, leave it on there for another 5 minutes. And they're like,
we went out for steak. Didn't we?
Yeah.
Like quite some time ago when we were first toying with the ideas of this podcast.
Yeah.
And you've got the burnt and you've got the still mooing.
Honestly, right? Yeah.
I'm like, let that baby bleed.
Oh, no,
and you're
I can't.
Oh, burn it till it's crisp.
You know what? And I'll tell you, because I do for anyone that is a rare steak eater, and I know you despise me. I know you despise me for being a very well done kind of girl. But hear me out. This is what happened. Growing up as a kid, my dad was a roo shooter and a pig shooter. We grew up on the farm, on the land, right? We only ever killed what we ate. Yeah. And because meat is not treated when it is game meat, you have to cook it properly to get rid of all the parasites, all of the whatever. So growing up, my dad would literally burn the shit out of everything because one, he didn't want to make us sick. So growing up, all I had was burnt meat, like a very well cooked, well meat. And so when it came and I was like, and I remember the first time I saw someone eating bloody meat, I was like, you're going to die. Like, it's almost like eating raw chicken. That's how different it was for me. Okay. And when I've tried red meat, when I close my eyes, block my nose so I don't smell it, don't see it, and the texture and the taste alone just feels so wrong because it's such a learnt behaviour that having raw meat.
So wild meat?
Yeah, pigs and roos.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I grew up on a farm as well, and we killed all of our own meat.
Yeah.
But I'm the opposite. So we raised it and killed our own meat.
Yeah, no, we did that as well.
Ate off the farm. But it was like slaughter the cow and literally off the cow, into the mouth.
Oh.
But I think because...
Yeah, no, we're talking wild boar.
Yeah,
we're talking kangaroo.
Yeah, Allosaurs.
Yeah, these are real gamey meat.
But that's interesting because that's an experience that not many people have. And for us both to grow up with that sort of experience I actually didn't know that about.
To be honest, never sick. Was not
Never
sick.
sick.
I actually didn't taste McDonald's. I didn't even know what McDonald's was until I was 10. And I didn't taste a cheeseburger until I was 11 years old.
No, me neither.
Yeah, 11 years old I was.
And I don't even think we had a TV till we were in high school.
Oh, no, definitely had a TV. We weren't that bloody poor. Like, no, I'm not saying that. But, like, we were in the sticks. So, you know, it was like 500 people in the town that grew up in.
Ours was super little too. Like our primary school, I think there was, I don't know, someone, because I do have people that...
What school did you go to?
Penrose Primary School.
Penrose Primary School, where's that?
New South Wales.
Okay.
But I think from kindy to year 6, there was under 50 kids in.
Yeah.
So there was only 2 classrooms.
Yeah. This is what we had.
This is probably interesting for a few though. So 2 classrooms.
Yeah.
K to 3.
Yeah.
And then
4, 5, 6.
And 6 in
yes.
the other classroom.
Yeah.
And now when I think about it, how freaking good were those teachers?
No,
like to be able to
teach 3 different levels.
Yeah. 3 or 4 different levels at once.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it, like now I think about it, what a crazy experience.
We had pretty much had the same thing. That's so weird.
Yeah. So then from primary school, what about a high school? Did you go to a big high school?
Yeah, I did. Because the town was so small, it didn't have a high. Well, it had a high school as a public. So I went to a Catholic school at the start, like from kindy through to year 6. Yeah. And then we moved from Brewarrina, which is where I grew up, and then moved to Dubbo so that my brother and I could attend high school. And then stayed in Dubbo. Yeah. What about yourself? Did it have a high school as well too?
No, too little.
So you had to move.
We didn't move. We bused to high school every day, which was about 40 minutes. And so
I'm like, what time do you have to wake up in the morning?
Yeah, early.
Yeah.
But we were nuts. You know, when you're a country bumpkin, like you'd get up and you'd go for a run, you'd come back, you'd feed the chickens, collect the eggs, go out, help mum with the buckets to milk the freaking cows, and you'd go in and have breakfast. And then you'd be brushing your teeth and eating a toasted sandwich on the same time as running to the bus stop.
Yeah.
Like you're like, yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah.
Because you were just so busy, but didn't even, like now I think about it, oh my God, that's wild.
Yeah.
But we went from a tiny primary school, I've got 2 older brothers, tiny primary school to a private Catholic high school in town.
Yeah.
Which was about 1,000 students. So you're just like,
Yeah, it is so overwhelming.
Daunting.
Yeah, I couldn't stop crying when I was. There were more people in my classroom in year 7 than my school that I had done my primary school in. That's the way it felt anyway. But yeah, how interesting that we're such similar upbringings. What were we talking about before that?
The coffee and the croissant.
There
was definitely no coffee and croissant where I grew up.
No. You had instant coffee, and it wasn't even Makona. And you had sliced white bread, Wonder White.
We had the old, Mum and Dad actually still live in the place where we
grew up.
Yeah. The old combustion stove.
Yes.
Like wood, so you'd go out and cut wood.
Yeah.
And to have hot water, you need to light the stove because that heats the water system.
How weird. It sounds like we're talking like we were born in 1920.
But doesn't that just show how much has changed? It's wild.
I know. It's really insane to really think about. But I know. I think that, how we grew up as well too, that really defines you later on in life. Core values, that kind of thing.
I think so. On different areas, like, have you travelled a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think traveling definitely opens you up to, being good on the street, trusting your instincts and that sort of thing. Yeah. But I think,
what do they call it? Streetwise.
Streetwise. Yeah. But up until I travelled, I was a naive little girl. 100% I was. I was country bumpkin, right? And I think growing up in even though you're farm-wise, you're not street-wise.
Yeah.
Right? You can change a tyre.
Yeah.
But you can't pick a narcissistic guy from a nice guy. No, I'm being serious.
No, I get you.
So you don't have, I really don't think you have that exposure to the streetwise.
Yeah. I think I did. Yeah, I think I did, but I think that just could have been the way that my dad, I feel was really, really wanting to prepare my brother and I for anything and everything. So he pushed us into everything and anything, which I'm so grateful, that he did, because the way my brother and I are now, I credit to my dad and the way he raised my brother and I. He really instilled like strong beliefs.
Isn't it funny how like your parents put an emphasis on? I was saying to someone the other day, you can only parent the best you think you can do at the time.
Yeah.
And you know what? This is the same with everything. Even choosing your coffee and croissant. You choose what you think is the best decision at that point in time.
Yeah.
And as long as you move with the right intention and your heart and exactly how you feel with the desired outcome, then that's the right decision at the time.
Yeah.
Whether you stay with the cafe or you leave the cafe.
Yeah.
And same with parenting. Like, so my parents really pushed us to be really active, a lot of sport, and very multicultural.
Yeah.
So like they even though mum's English and dad's an Aussie. I can't even remember, I must have been really little. They used to get exchange students from like Papua New Guinea and stuff like that. So, in a small country town, how many, I'm going to say, coloured people would there be? None.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So from a really young age, we were really open to different nationalities, people looking different, people speaking different accents, different food, whatever. So I have never even thought about that sort of side of things. So it's just interesting how like the different emphasis of what your parents put on you.
I do feel that I was very sheltered in my very early years, because I'm half Filipina, right? My mom's Filipina, my dad's Aussie. Growing up in a small town, 900 people, we were the only Asians in the town. And I actually thought that all Asians were related. So I thought any Asian that I saw was a relative of mine, because so everyone else was either white or black, and I was the only, and my brother and my mom and I were the only other Asian, and so I actually thought that all Asians were my uncle or auntie or cousin in some way.
Maybe.
I mean, along the way, probably. But that's how sheltered I was as a kid when it came to, and I'm talking like 6 or 7.
So that's what I mean, going back to that naiveness of going up into the country. Like, it depends on what your parents put an emphasis on that opens your eyes.
Yeah.
But really, their job is really big in when you are so sheltered in the country to open your eyes and be open-minded, open to trying things, to experiences and whatever. Like, so I know that there's, I could go back to our country town and there's still the same family, the same kids doing the same thing, going to the same place and whatever, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Did you have no desire? But that's credit to the parents going, get out there, go, you know, open your eyes, try new foods, meet new people. Doesn't matter what color they are, what language they speak, how big their lips are or how big they're not. Like, it doesn't matter. Get out there and go and whatever.
Yeah. It's all about getting out. It's that whole comfort zone thing, right? Some people just don't want to get out of their comfort zone, and they won't leave their town. They won't leave the country.
They will not leave the bakery with the same coffee and the same croissant.
Yeah.
And
on that note, we got to wrap it up. All right, we're going to wrap this up, and we'll come at you with episode 4 very soon. We don't know what we're talking about yet. We're just kind of winging it at this stage. But thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Love yous. Mwah. Ready?